Hey ladies, what's up? I'm super excited to be kicking off this group. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for all of your emails, all of your questions and comments. I've been loving getting to know all of you. It's so fun for me to meet people all across the world. Really, it's like my favorite thing in the world. I've always loved traveling and getting to meet new people and people from all walks of life, really, and it really does fuel me and juice me to get to know all of you guys. So thank you so much. Keep your questions and your comments coming. I'm loving it. So what is this group about? The Fitspo life. You know, we hear that all the time. You see people on social media, and wanting to live that lifestyle was always appealing to me. I didn't really know what it was. All I know is that obviously before I started doing this, I was working in a corporate job, first of all, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It made me super depressed. It was like a soul-sucking, depressing job. And I remember watching people on Instagram, you know, these like Fitspo accounts, these like people like just sharing their life. And I remember thinking, like, what is it that they do? Like, how can they do that? And for me, I always wanted to take time off to go traveling, and I can never do that. I never could live the life that I really wanted to live, working in the traditional 9 to 5 grind. So I started researching, like, how can I do this? How can I like be a hashtag girl boss? I kept seeing like all these girls saying like, oh, I'm a girl boss, you know, there's self-proclaimed girl bosses, and I wanted to know what that meant. How do they do it? How do they get paid? How much do they get paid? And yeah, so I started doing it on my own, and I basically saw that people were living their lives on social media and getting paid for it. And there are a couple of ways to do it. Some popular ways, and then some ways that are not so popular, and some ways that I didn't want to do, wasn't really an option for me. And for most of them is advertising and product pushing. And I know that we've all seen stuff like that. For me, I didn't really want to do any selling. I'm not really a salesperson. Sales make me feel icky. So all of the options of being a salesperson and that sort of thing, I kind of put it to the side just because it wasn't interesting to me. But there were a couple of other options that were interesting to me, and that was basically like having a strong social media following, and that's how people get paid. Basically, they, you know, like you have like the Kardashians, you know, they almost like invented product pushing, and well, maybe they didn't invent it, but I feel like they're like most associated with that. You know, they like show up to an event, they stamp a seal of approval on a product, and voila, they get thousands and thousands of dollars. So what I started looking for is like, how can I do that? I'm not trying to be a bajillionaire. I'm not trying to make $1 million, but I would like to make a living so that I could go and travel, live abroad, do what I feel like doing, you know? And so what I found is that there are a couple of ways to be that hashtag girl boss. Now the most successful income generating way is to become a social media star, obviously, and I guess the most popular ones are on YouTube, and they basically get paid money for letting companies advertise on their videos. And we've all seen it, you know, where like either they're fashionistas, or actually the most popular YouTubers, the most successful ones, are these 23-year-old punk kids that play video games. They're gamers, and they honestly they get paid to film themselves playing these video games, and companies will pay them like tons of money for little 10-15 second increments on their videos to just put a little Snapchat of whatever there is. And because they have millions and millions of subscribers, that's how they make their living. You know, these companies come to them and they ask them, can we put a little ad in the corner of your video? And that's how they make a living. So that wasn't really an option for me. I didn't really want to do that. And then the second option that I found that you could do is become like a sponsored athlete, or become sponsored by a company. And what I do is kind of inspired by that, I guess you could say. I guess you could say I'm sponsored, but not really. And what these people do is, like, I think being a Nike sponsored athlete is probably every person's dream, where they just fly you around. You get to wear the coolest fitness gear. You get to try it out first and, you know, do unboxing videos of the coolest stuff. And you get to be flown to expos and that sort of thing. I know Gymshark does something like that. There's lots and lots of companies that will sponsor you. I know for in the Instagram world, you probably have seen this, or maybe you haven't, but I know for me on the daily, I get people messaging me being like, hey, want to be a rep for our clothing line? You know, the most popular I think is the clothing line. And that's another way you could do it. Just being a sponsored person. But again, that is not something that I really wanted to do. I really cringe when I see those posts of use coupon code Mickey Boker to get 10% off this product, you know, or people with the protein shakes. There's like a bajillion protein shake companies. Everybody's advertising some sort of protein shake. That is also another popular route. And I honestly found that it's not even that lucrative because you get such a small portion of the sales. And if you don't have a lot of followers, which most people when they start out don't, you're not going to be making a huge cut. It's not even like 20%, and you know, off of something that is like 20 bucks, it doesn't really make a dent in your income unless you're doing that on the large scale again. And for me, when I started researching this, I had 30 followers on Instagram. So I did not have a mass following being a YouTube social media star or being a sponsored athlete or a sponsored public figure on social media. It just wasn't an option. Nobody was going to pay me for my 30 followers to, you know, push teeth whitening kits or protein powders. So I kind of took that concept and turned it into something that was tangible. And that's really what I'm going to be talking to you guys about, is what it is that I do. What I am is a fitness coach, and that's what I do. I'm a social media fitness coach. I do everything online. So I kind of took the concept of like having a large social media following and having someone sponsor you and meshing the two together, because I didn't have the followers in the beginning. So that's really what I focus on, is growing my social media page and just showing what my life is, sharing what I do, what I actually do. It's just a lifestyle to me. It's not a job. And that's really how I've been able to make this a successful endeavor. So yeah, I love sharing this. I'm super excited, and I want to know who else is super excited about this. So if you could, please comment below. I want to know who's listening, who's engaged. So let me know where you're from, a little bit of bio about yourself, and I want to know what you're most excited about this. What I'm going to be doing is taking all of your guys' questions and your comments, and I'm going to be using them for the videos coming up. I'm going to try to keep all of these videos pretty short. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.